to this guitar talk session. And I've been talking about G scales. What I just played was not a G scale. It was more of a blues scale for the key of E in blues, which is a E minor scale essentially played against major chords, and you end up with blues. And so, essentially it's a minor scale with a diminished fifth. That's a bunch of theory that you probably don't care about. And I'll teach you that little riff just for kicks at the end of this video. But getting back to the G scale, we talked about a scale here in the first position, talked about a scale here at the next position on the 3rd fret coming out of an F, talked about a pentatonic scale, and that's a diagonal pentatonic scale. Allows you to move back and forth between other scales, and pentatonic being the 5 pretty notes. Those are, you can pretty much go back and forth with that and not clash with the song, because the 5 pretty notes tend to work in just about any song. Now, what I want to talk about today is how you play a scale when you get up here after you've played your diagonal and you're here. There's a G note. So we want to go up and play a scale out of it. And it's a do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti type scale in the key of G, starting here. And you can hear that. And out of that, you could pick out a melody. If you're hearing the melody and you know where your fingers need to go for the key of G, you could pick out that melody. And so I'm just going to teach that and then talk about a little bit of application, and then we'll move on. So it starts with my index finger at the 8th fret. That's a G note. That's your first G note. Your second note is going to be an A, and that's 2 fret. You move 2 frets or up to the 10th fret, A, and then you have a B, and that moves up to the 12th, and I just slide my 3rd finger to the 12th fret. And so the first part of that scale, G, and then I use my 3rd finger, 10th fret, 2nd string, and then 3rd finger, 12th fret, 2nd string, and that's a slide. And that's where it starts, G, A, B. Then I slide up one more, which takes me to 13, and that gives me a C. That's the next note. And you hear that. I have my finger in the wrong spot. And then the next note's going to be up here with a D. And you have your D and then your E. And you'll notice these notes at the 12th fret match the strings because it's the 12th harmonic. And of course that's going to happen. And which is, so that's how we get those notes. So starting over, G, A, B, C, D, E. Then you skip a fret and you're going up from the 12th to the 14th. That's your F, which I understand in music theory, the key of G, it's an F sharp because there's one sharp in the key of G. For the position of your fingers on a guitar neck, it's not important for you to know that. You just know that that's the fingering of the scale. And then your final note is an octave higher, and that's a G. And the reason I'm saying it's not essential with learning the scale is, I'm going to talk about that in a minute, I can move that scale and change the key. So if you learn the pattern, you can move the pattern up and down the neck, which is what I talked about in other places if you were using a capo. With this, you don't have to. So just to see that, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And that's what we're doing. So I just want to talk briefly about moving that scale as an illustration to you so that you could play in a different key if you had to. And then I'll go back to that little blues riff. So if we talk about, let's say we're here, and someone says, well, let's do it. Um, let's do it in F. Well, F is a full step below G. I'd come down here and I'd do the same pattern. And that's F. Now if they say, well, we want it in A, I'd come up a full step. And that's A. And the same deal, well, it's in B. Well, here's B. Now you're getting way up the neck. So that's how it works. And you can keep moving that. If you're down in E, you know, if I was going to E, from G, there's F, E. Of course, I skipped a note. And you just can work it up and down just by moving your hand. So that's something to practice. Now, getting back to the little blues scale I did, what happens, you have your major keys and your minor keys, and they both share a key signature, which is something that happens in music theory. How many sharps or flat notes determine the actual key if you're reading music. And so when you're talking about the key of G, the minor scale that uses 1 sharp, that's the same scale notes, it's going to have the same fingering essentially as the key of G, would be E minor, but it wouldn't start on a G note. So you'd have that, and that makes it a blues scale, because a blues is a minor key with diminished fifth played with the major chords backing it. I know you don't need to know that, but you want to know where to put your fingers and sound cool. That's what we're trying to do here. So this is another pattern as you're practicing your G scale, and you just want to keep doing it over and over till it's natural. G, A, B, C, D, E. I did that wrong, didn't I? G, A, B, C, D, E, E, F, G. So that's a lot of help, isn't it? So we start here. You're practicing that. Now, we could change to a pentatonic and just do this minor thing by putting your 3rd finger at the 9th fret on your G string, and you start there. And then work that same pattern without going up to these notes. Just do more of a pentatonic. Like that. So that's part of your G scale. And you can see me do that. So 1st finger, 8th fret, 3rd finger, 10th fret, slide up to the 12th. And then 1st finger, 10th fret, and 3rd finger, 12th fret, which gives you an E because you're dealing with E minor. And you see that? So now we can come down here and start. So if I start, just to give you something to play with, if I start at the 7th fret with my index finger, and I go up to 9th fret with my 3rd finger, 2nd finger, I can do that. Then I come in that G. That just gives you something to play with and have some fun. So you just kind of do a little hammer on, which is you playing without picking, you hammer your finger down. So I pluck this note, I hammer this note, and I pluck the next one. So just play with it. It's just a fun thing. I just wiggle my finger. It's part of practicing this. Just know you'll be in a different key if you start doing this other riff. You're in E minor now. But it's a nice thing to know how to use both. And when we get back down here, next Guitar Talk, I'm going to continue talking about G scale. which is, well, the difference is I'm going to come down to here, and we're going to do this similar scale in the middle, and we'll work on that next week. So you're going to end up with a G scale here, 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 and up here, and it gives you a way to play with flavor. After we complete that next guitar talk about the G scale here in the middle and tying them together, then I'm going to start working on a C scale, and I'll start with the diagonal on the C scale, pentatonic, and talk about C scales. I went back to G scale accidentally, so I'll talk about that a couple more videos. So I hope you enjoy that and work your way through it, and that it's a blessing to you. Until next time, the Lord bless you, and we'll see you again.